Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. The Press Trust of India has reported that the United States and Britain have asked Pakistan to either hand Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi to India or to one of them to face trial for his involvement in the 2008 terror case in Mumbai. This comes after unconfirmed reports that Pakistan could ban the Jamaat-ud-Dawa and the possibility that the Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi case may be handed over to a military court in Pakistan. So are the prospects of Lakhvi being brought to justice improving? Or could this be a case of hope exceeding what will actually happen? My guests are former High Commissioner to Pakistan G. Parthasarathy, former Special Secretary in RNAW Rana Banerjee, and the senior writer of India Today, Jyoti Malhotra. Mr. Parthasarathy,
the Pakistan High Commissioner and Ambassador in Washington, Jilani has denied that any such thing happened.
But that he would do.
No, because he can do so with a straight face, because such a thing would not have been conveyed to him. It would have been conveyed to the army in Rawalpindi. The fact is, Karan, if you take the way American policy has been evolving, it started with Admiral Mullen, the closest associate of the Pakistan military, remarking in public just before he retired that the Haqqani network is a veritable arm of the ISI. This was followed by a statement from Hillary Clinton saying that you cannot breed vipers in your backyard and expect they will bite only your neighbors. Then you had Pakistan's best friend, the author of Kerry Lugar, Senator Kerry, demanding action against the Lashkar-e-Taiba on Pakistani soil.
So you believe this is a credible report?
I would say that PTI, generally having been a press advisor in Washington, is very careful about what it
in which case, what then does this report suggest to you? Are the screws being turned on Pakistan?
Look, I think the screws will be turned up to a point, but we should be realistic as to how much.
Okay. An attempt is being made. Don't expect too much.
It has been, I told you, since Hillary's statement, yeah.
Let me pursue that, Mr. Banerjee, by asking you the same question. Do you believe this report is credible? Or are you more skeptical than Mr. Parthasarathy?
I am a little more skeptical because, as reported in the media, it is a statement by Chaudhry Azhar, the new chief prosecutor, while arguing for further detention of Zaki Lakhvi in the maintenance of public order case before the judge of the Islamabad High Court. And he's reported to have said this, that there's pressure from USA and UK, and then the judge is said to have remarked that then maybe you could give it to a military court, or maybe this is for the diplomats. I mean, the prosecutor only said that this is for the diplomat to settle. All this sounds to me a little bit, not authentic. So
do you think, in fact, this comment may have been made by the prosecutor as a way of getting the judge to ensure that the detention of Lakhvi continued, rather than as an actual statement of fact?
It could be to insist on the gravity of it and the great embarrassment that the government would face, as they are facing, because of the release of Lakhvi on bail by a lower court judge.
Let's for a moment assume that this is in fact a genuine report, as Mr. Parthasarathy is prepared to accept. There's little chance of Pakistan handing over Lakhvi to India because we don't have an extradition treaty with that country. But do you believe either London or Washington will pursue this to the point where actually Lakhvi is handed over to one of them? Or do you think, having said it, they will stop?
I think, Karan, the fact that this story has come out on the eve of the US President Obama's visit to India makes it quite interesting. And PTI, being a credible news agency, I think would not go out on a limb if there wasn't something to the story. But what I find fascinating is that I think several games are being played behind several doors, I think. On the one hand, the Americans want to make good with India, I think, and therefore they know that the Mumbai trials and the fact that the Pakistan government has done nothing about Zaki ur-Rehman Lakhvi until recently, I might add, I think if something happens on this front, the Indians would be much more ready to go along with the Americans in every other direction, whether it's in the arms or any other field.
So this is America's gambit to secure a closer strategic relationship with
India. But also, I think it also fits in with what Pakistan wants to do. And here I'd like to say that Nawaz Sharif, and I think we should give him credit, he has been trying to keep Lakhvi in jail. After the Peshawar attacks, when we saw that Lakhvi he was given bail, it was the Pakistan government that put him back.
You're saying to me that Pakistan would welcome pressure from America in this instance?
I think
because
that
it works in the way he wants it to work.
Absolutely. I think Nawaz Sharif would welcome this pressure on the army to keep Lakhvi in jail, and indirectly for the Americans to play a much bigger role in this matter.
Let's come back to you, because you believe this is a credible report. You believe that PTI is a credible agency, and many would agree with you that PTI is extremely credible. There are no aspersions that be cast on PTI. But then, does this report reflect that the West is losing some sense of patience with Pakistan's handling of the 208 case? Because after all, many from Britain and many from America died in that terror attack. And does it also reflect a certain measure of suspicion that maybe elements of the Pakistani legal system, maybe even elements of the Pakistani establishment in quotes, are tilting in favor of Lakhvi? Are both those elements reflected here?
Look, let's look at the situation realistically. Pakistan is saying there are no good terrorists and bad terrorists. A couple of divisions of the Pakistan army have descended on North Waziristan. 1 million people are homeless, 120,000 in Afghanistan. Where exactly are Sirajuddin Haqqani and his family? What has my point, no, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, where exactly has Ayman al-Zawahiri disappeared? So my point is, this whole operation is a sham.
No, but come back to my question is about, does this reflect that America is losing patience with Pakistan's handling of 208?
No, America has been losing patience for quite some time. This is nothing new. But given the compulsions of American withdrawal from Afghanistan, it will be played in a very measured manner.
Okay. You mentioned the possibility raised by the judge in the Lakhvi case. If you're in a hurry, he said to the Pakistan government, give this to a military court. And in fact, a recent constitutional amendment passed by the Pakistan Assembly has in fact made military courts a reality and legal. Do you think there's a real possibility that the Lakhvi case could be given to a military court?
Not at present, not at all. Because this would be highly embarrassing to both the political leadership of Nawaz Sharif in Punjab, his brother CM Shahbaz Sharif, and also to the army. Army is signaling that, look, we can do this one at a time. We are dealing with the TTP. We don't want to be taking on the LET frontally just at this moment.
So that possibility is a real possibility for handling terrorists who trouble Pakistan internally, not LET,
yes,
not terrorists who worry us in India.
Yes, they have taken on firstly those who were detained for attempting to assassinate General Musharraf, President Musharraf. Some of them have been executed. Also, those who were held for the cantonment attack in 2009, October 2009, those people have been executed. Those were earlier prevented from being executed because of the threat given by the Punjabi Taliban to the Chief Minister of Punjab. So basically the army is telling the political leadership of the PMLN that, look, leave it to us, we'll deal with them, and we'll also ensure that there's no...
But when they say we deal with them, the them doesn't include Lakhvi or anyone targeting India. Those are people the army, if anything, might want to protect rather than convict.
Well, army may not want to protect them. I mean, they will get to Lakhvi eventually. I believe that ultimately there will be a confrontation between the military and the LET, but not just now.
There are other reports, Jyoti, that in fact, but I should also add that they've been contradicted in the Hindustan Times by the Pakistan Minister for Defence Production. But there are reports that Pakistan could ban the Jamaat-ud-Dawa. And it's known that in fact a shortlist has been prepared of 12 new organizations who've been put onto the banned list. That happened shortly after Kerry visited, but we don't know who those 12 are, and we therefore have no confirmation whether Jamaat-ud-Dawa is one of them or not. Do you believe those reports?
Well, I have absolutely no doubt, Karan, that the Indian government has put a lot of pressure on the Americans, and they've said to them that you have the key, if anybody does, to put pressure on the Pakistanis. Now, does this mean the military establishment? I agree with both these gentlemen that the Pakistan military has complete control over the Haqqani network and over Lakhvi, of course. So whether it's the LET and the Haqqanis in North Waziristan. So I think if there is
So
anybody...
you believe this report that the Jamaat-ul-Dawa has been banned?
No, I don't know about the Jamaat-ul-Dawa, but I do think that Kerry, when he went from here and he was in Delhi and at the Vibrant Gujarat Summit, and then he went to Pakistan, I think he would have definitely said to the Pakistanis, and by the way, it's in Pakistan's own interest.
Yeah, but that's another matter.
Yes, absolutely.
Another matter. I want to try and work out specifically whether this report has credibility. Now, on the earlier report about Lakhvi, you and Mr. Banerjee differed. You were prepared to accept it as credible. He thought it was unlikely to be so. Where do you stand on this report about the Jamaat-ul-Dawa being banned? And let me repeat that although Indian papers have reported it and accepted its veracity, the Pakistan Minister for Defence Production told the Hindustan Times it's not true. This is a charitable organization. Why would we ban it? So where do you come out on this
To
one?
me, it is immaterial whether they ban or they do not ban, because they will assume another name and carry on. I do not think Hafiz Muhammad Saeed will be touched. His relationship with the Sharif family goes back to the days of Mian Muhammad Sharif, who is Nawaz Sharif's father. And he has received their patronage, and he does all this so-called charitable work. So I don't think they're going to touch him.
So even if this report that the organization has been banned is true, it's irrelevant because
irrelevant
it
as far as
morph as something else.
It is irrelevant as far as
In fact, it's already believed to have morphed as an organization called Falah Insaniyat. It's possible it will take some other form hereafter.
Oh yes, absolute. The greatest lover of Insaniyat is Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. Why not?
You said a moment ago that eventually the Pakistan establishment, which is code for the army and the ISI and the LET, will clash, and the Pakistan army will have to turn upon the LET and rein them in, just as they're trying to rein in the TTP. Why would that happen eventually, and how far away down the road is eventually?
Well, that's a difficult thing to predict. The present army chief, he's been quite strongly advocating that there will be no discrimination and we'll get to all manner of terrorists. In what order the army decides to sort them out, and sort them out they will, remains to be seen. But the problem is that there is a lot of penetration by the Lashkar into all institutions of Pakistani government, be it the judiciary, be it the civil services, and this begins at lower levels as well. It could also be within the armed forces or the defense services.
Which makes it more difficult to handle.
It will make it more difficult, and that is where the army will have to proceed very carefully.
On the other hand, even if it makes it more difficult to handle, it also in a sense makes it more critical to handle.
Yes, indeed it does.
Because it's vitiated your system much like termites.
Yes, it has. But to reverse the narrative, it will take a lot of time and a lot of courage.
Jyoti Malhotra, a third report, and it's equally intriguing in the papers, is that the United States has warned Pakistan against any terrorist or cross-border incident while President Obama is in India. And according to the reports, it said that if such an incident happens, there will be consequences, although it didn't spell out what those consequences might be. Do you accept that as a credible report?
I think that is fairly credible, because I think the Americans are quite worried. They're quite nervous that something will happen when Obama comes to India.
Of the nature of Chittor Singh Pura, which happened when Clinton came, as bad as that?
Well, that's a tough question, because if you remember when Chittor Singh Pura, when that massacre took place, there was one group that first claimed that they had perpetrated this attack, but then it subsequently turned out that it was somebody else. It was actually the Indian forces that were responsible for covering them up. So I think this is that's a delicate sort of a story, but the fact that the Americans are coming out so clearly and saying to the Pakistanis that you cannot even think of doing something like this is I think it's quite interesting, especially if you link it with these other reports that are coming out.
Yeah, there are three intriguing reports, and I'm putting this to you because you accept the credibility of all of them, even though you believe they may not actually change the situation on the ground. There's the report about action being taken against Lakhvi, there's the report about banning Jamaat-ul-Dawa, now there's this recent report about the Americans saying to the Pakistanis, don't you dare do something while Obama's there. What does all of that add up to? Does it suggest a balance of world opinion tilting away from Pakistan and more towards India?
Most definitely so. Most definitely so. For the simple reason that Pakistan, whether anyone agrees or not, seems to be headed towards destabilizing itself. And people who have shown a lot of patience but that patience could be running thing. The only factor is some form of contacts will be maintained with Pakistan. So nobody is going to really
snap relations.
Snap relations is quite different from what they were singing 5 years ago.
You know, there is another side to it. When he was in Pakistan, just after he visited Gujarat, Kerry on Pakistani soil spoke about the need for India and Pakistan to talk to each other to sort out their problems. Now, when Obama comes to India, although he may only do it behind closed doors and in private, will similar advice be given to Mr. Modi, particularly if it is true that publicly now America has taken a particular stand, re Lakhvi? Will they balance it by saying to India privately, look, you need to talk to them?
I would think so, yes. Because psychologically, these, from wherever the reports may have emanated, they will create an impression in Pakistan that there is a lot of pressure. Whether this goes to the desist elements who are non-state actors who are being instigated from there or not remains to be seen. It's going to be touch and go. But to balance that, possibly, secretly, quietly, this message may be given.
Would Mr. Modi welcome, even if it's done quietly behind closed doors, being advised by President Obama, you need to talk?
Difficult for me to say. I mean,
what's your hunch?
He'll have to listen.
Oh, listen, absolutely.
Yeah, whether he welcomes it or not.
What's your hunch? I mean, if it is true that America will balance the public postures they're taking vis-a-vis Pakistan, Lakhvi, JUD, with private advice of the nature they gave, in fact, in Lahore, you need to talk to each other, Mr. Modi, you must start talking to Pakistan. Will Mr. Modi welcome it? Will he bristle?
Actually, I don't agree with Rana Banerjee. I don't think Obama is going to offer advice to Modi. I think the Indians and the Americans are much more on the same page on Pakistan. So the fact that Kerry said what he did in Pakistan recently was more for public consumption inside Pakistan. But I think, the Americans have also faced a lot of attacks on their own soldiers on NATO trucks which have sort of gone through Pakistan en route to Afghanistan, as well as several Americans have been killed. So I think the Americans know the nature of the beast in Pakistan quite well. In that sense, Modi and Obama perhaps have talked about this problem in Washington when Mr. Modi when the Prime Minister was there recently, and I think they're much more on the same page, and I think they agree what the nature of the problem inside Pakistan.
Jyoti is suggesting a certain, the word collusive sounds wrong, but a certain understanding or collaboration almost between Delhi and Washington about how to handle Pakistan. Would you go that far?
I think there is not collaboration, there is understanding. And the stakes that US has
Isn't
developed,
that just one step short of collaboration?
No, well, the stakes that the US has developed in India succeeding, whether it is the Modi government or anybody else, are large now, because the larger issue is a balance of power in Asia concerning China. That is their vital interest. Managing Pakistan, yes, I do not think Obama would say anything prescriptive. Perhaps something to the effect that, can we look at how Pakistan can be engaged to mend its views? Can we look?
That's a polite way of saying it wouldn't be a bad idea to talk.
No, can we look? Can we look is, please have a look at it and you take your decision.
You don't think that's a polite way of saying the same thing?
No.
All right. Very quickly, we've got 30 seconds only.
Also Afghanistan. I think the Americans, as they withdraw from Afghanistan, would like actually for India to play a much bigger role in Afghanistan. Having said that, they also know that Pakistan will play a much bigger role. So I think if they're trying to do any balancing, it will be in Afghanistan.
All right. My thanks to all three of you for coming in, for helping interpret these messages that we are getting, the reports that we are getting of precisely what America is saying, precisely what Pakistan is doing. A lot of it is speculation, some of it may be even hope and fantasy, but let's hope most of it is true. My thanks to all three of you, and there we end this particular episode. If you have been, thanks for watching.